Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. Jason here. Today I have a playthrough for Earthborne Rangers, the card game. This one is for 1 to 4 players, a debut title from Earthborne Games, in which you are playing a ranger in a post-apocalyptic setting. The world has been destroyed of human making, but your surviving human communities are getting together and trying to rebuild what was lost. Over the course of a full campaign of Earthborne Rangers, you're going to be exploring the valley. This is the included map. Look how many places there are to explore. Every single one of these noteworthy locations has cards, has text. There is an evolving story which involves so many little adventures, surprises, and opportunities to engage in the larger story of the valley. It is a huge game with a lot of campaign play available. However, for this playthrough, I'm going to be playing one single day mission called Predatory Instinct, in which I'm going to hunt for a predator. So that's great, Jason. Sounds great in the theme. And what about mechanics? This is a card game. The basis is your personal deck. You can construct this out of a wide variety of cards or take one of the pre-made sets. I'm taking a pre-made set of a conciliator character, kind of a pacifist paradigm. Over the course of play, I'm going to be spending my resources to gear up, trying to create combos that will advantage me, or using symbols to complete tests and interact with the environment in the most efficient way possible. Can I do it? Can I accomplish the difficult mission of hunting down a predator before my deck runs out to fatigue? So let's get into some channel announcements, and then I will dive into a single day play of Earthborne Rangers. First, let's talk about creating the character. This is my entire set of Earthborne Rangers. This entire column is dedicated only to character creation. You pull together a number of elements, RPG style. So first, you're going to pull together your basic stat layout. You have 4 basic stats. I'll explain that as we get into the playthrough, but they're pretty common. Your fitness, which is your constitution. Your awareness would be more of a wisdom stat. Focus would be an intelligence stat. And then spirit would be a little bit more along the lines of charisma. I went with more of a high spirit layout because I am a conciliator. And the conciliator has a number of elements, including a character card and cards that I pull from their deck. There are 4 different types of specializations: conciliator and traveler and artisan. So I chose the most pacifist one because, hey, I love people. What are you going to do? Anyway, so combined with that, I would also take cards from this background character. So where did I come from? Am I an artisan as a background? Was I a shepherd? Was I a forager? Take cards from there too. Rounding it out, you have some personality cards which go into every deck to help you complete tests. And then you construct your 30 card deck, which will be your resources as you adventure in the valley. Tons of cards to explore, tons of different combos, some simple, some complex, some passive, some aggressive. There's a lot to explore here. In addition, I also got what the game calls a card doubler. So multiple copies of each individual deck. So plenty of cards. If I want to build my character a certain way, or if I want to play up to 4 players, that card doubler is there for you. Here is the environment area with which I'm going to interact. The centerpiece here is the location. Right now, I'm at the Crossroads station. You saw the map. It has a lot of different locations on it. That is represented by a whole bunch of cards. Each location has some kind of particular element that makes it stand out uniquely. In addition, the flavor text of the one-shot mission told me that I started at the Spire and I had traveled to the Crossroads station. So I fetch cards that are marked with this grasslands icon. And that is how I constructed the environment deck, or the path deck. As you can see, lots of cards with that grassland and a couple of other cards to give it some more uniqueness. So if you could imagine yourself located on the map, it's like you're here somewhere in the Crossbridge Station, the greater environs, including the grasslands. In a campaign, I would be going to different places. So if I went to the branch, then I would lay out the branch card, and then I would be in the old forest, which is this location. Lots of forest there. There's mountains, there's woods, all sorts of different locations to explore. Today, we are just going to do the one shot, but I wanted to give you a sense of how big the scope is here. You also lay out a weather card. I have a downpour right now, which is not that great. Sometimes there's a sunny day, sometimes there's worse. So I guess I'll just take downpour for the time being. In addition, for this one shot, it is very focused on the mission. My task is to just complete this mission. I will read some flavor text when we're ready to begin and explain the card that's under here. And finally, this deck right here is the randomizer. Think of this as the die, which determines your fate with only a certain limited number of faces, depending on which test you're going to do. I'll explain more of that as I get into the playthrough. So let me go ahead and read the introductory text for this one-day mission, Predatory Instincts. If you're just interested in mechanics, go ahead and check the timestamp. Fast forward a little bit to the first round of play. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy. Pebbles crunch underfoot as you walk away from the spire alongside Elder Orlin. You just finished meeting with all the elders of the valley. A gathering like this is rare, but so is the problem they came to discuss. One of the species of biomeld in the valley, the caustic mulcher, has become more prominent and is beginning to spread southward. The elders are worried, and so are you. For caustic mulchers are known to indiscriminately digest any living being that crosses their path. Deep in the wild forests of the valley, they're regarded by some as a critical part of the ecosystem. But this close to the inhabitants of the valley, they can be more harmful than helpful. Recently, one particular mulcher has been seen roaming the shores of the Silverfin near Spire, and your neighbors worry it is only a matter of time before it ensnares an unwary villager with its barbed tongue. The Council of Elders agree that something needs to be done, but they left it up to you to decide how to deal with the problem. Before you make that decision, you'll have to find the mulcher. And so here is the mission lore. My job is to just complete that mission. And here is the caustic mulcher. It is a nasty being. 3 is about as high as you get for, the game calls it presence. That means it has a massive presence. You're going to have to deal with it. So I fished this out of the Woods deck, and I tuck it under the lore. It would have been nice had the website told me it was in the Woods deck. I had to look into everything. So if you're looking at the one-shot missions, don't worry. Right now, as I record this, the website doesn't tell you where to get stuff. Hopefully they fix that sooner rather than later. Elder Orlin escorts you to the bridge leading from Spire to the shore, turns, and gives you a serious nod. This isn't going to be an easy task, but after Commander Thrush spoke so highly of you and that other young ranger, Cal Ivor, I'm sure at least one of you will be able to complete this mission. She points to the line of trees from the far shore. The mulcher has been spotted along the Silverfin from here to White Sky, but gets around surprisingly quickly. I imagine you'll have success luring it no matter where you look, so take whatever path feels right to you. And so here is the map. The game tells you that you are beginning at the spire, and you can choose any of the connected paths except for the river. This is the Silverfin that the story mentioned. You cannot ride this unless you have a card that says you can ride it. So you have to pick one of these other 4 paths. And as I said in the intro, I have chosen Crossroads Station. So I am now ready to begin. Yes, I'm going to need all of this play area. They do sell play mats that make this nice and organized. Hindsight 2020, probably should have picked up the play mats. I recommend that to everybody who wants to spend considerable time with this game. I am almost done with setup, but before I do that, let's go ahead and take out this mission card, see what I got to do. Locate one of the local mega predators by finding the prey to lure it out. So when a prey is cleared, set it aside. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to clear, quote unquote, prey. Prey are animals that come out of the path deck, deer, beavers, and whatnot, basically making a pile of meat or keeping them alive, having them lure out the predator. In this particular mission, because this is a mega predator, there are other predators in this deck. I can choose predators and prey. Once I deal with them, then I can begin to lure out the big animal. All right, final part of setup is I look at the back of the Crossroads Station. There is flavor text, so you know I love my flavor text. Crossroads Station sits at the confluence of several trails and paths leading through the valley. Built upon a well-preserved Estian ruin, The station is the vision of the artificer Baal Orlin, son of legendary artificer Mora Orlin. He designed the exterior to reflect the symmetry often found in Estian architecture, while paying homage to the nautical engineers of the ancient past, whom the Orlins hold in high regard as pioneers in artificing. And then I draw one path card. So that is for the lead ranger. There is no next ranger. I have an harvester anthill. All right. So reason I have so much space over here is that this is actually two different spaces. So there is along the way, which represents environmental features, things that like to hang back, and also within reach, which are for the more aggressive animals, humans that I encounter, etc. There will be an arrow on every card to tell you where it goes. The harvester anthill goes here. It is an obstacle. I need to deal with it, but not right now. It's not presenting an immediate threat. So I'm ready to start my actual player turn. Every player turn starts the same way. Draw another path card. So in this particular case, the path card is, oh no! Blood-Beckoned Velox. It is a predator, and it is going to get into my face. And it has the keyword ambush. So ambush is really simple. All ambush does is when it appears, it is going to fatigue me. So I have to keep a pile of face-down cards this way. I put them on its side. As I go through the day, I have this much. I'm not going to draw again unless I fire special powers. A lot of my cards are going to end up in this fatigue pile. If too many end up here, then I have to retire for the day. All right, so now I get to assess my options. Very often, an option is going to be interact with the location in some way. Either you want to interact with whatever the text is here. In this particular case, it's useful for searching for humans, kind of asking the people in town where they are and, fishing them out. Or I could do what the game calls traverse, which is meet this threshold, which is 3 tokens per ranger. So solo, it's 3. And move on to the next area in the map. I just got here. I have plenty to do here, so I don't want to interact with this. Which is good because in order to interact with it, I'd have to kind of hop over everything, ignore what's in front of me to do so. That's bad. This has 2 presence. This has variable presence depending on how hurt it is, so it could go from 1 to 4. Right now there's 0. So it would fatigue me twice. I'd have to take 2 cards and put them in my fatigue pile in order to interact with the location. I don't want to do that. I just got here. I got a lot to do. Instead, I want to focus on what the game calls clearing this card so I can add it to my lure pile. All right, so these are the key numbers to know in terms of clearing stuff. I can either kill it or make friends with it. And making friends with a Blood-Beckoned Velox is really hard. That's going to take me a little while. Easier to kill it. So do I want to kill it? I'm not sure. As I read these effects, they'll fire off when I begin some tests. I'll show that in a little bit. I'm seeing that there is no real threat to me right now. This guy's a scavenger. If I was injured, it would have a chance to do 1 injury to me. That's bad. I'm not injured yet. So I don't have to worry about it right this second. Instead, for the first turn of the game, and this is very, very common for Earthborne Rangers sessions, play your cards, get things going. So I have some cards over here, and I want to play, because I'm a conciliator, I have some pets that I love, their effects, so I'm going to start playing some pets. So I have Pokoto the Ferret. I go ahead and I play them. They cost me 2 spirit, kind of, here boy, here boy. And so I have 3 spirit. I'm going to spend 2 of them, and I have 1 left for the rest of the turn set. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play my Intention Translator. So what this card lets me do, it gets a couple of charges on it. And when I perform what the game calls a connect test, which is soothe an animal or connect with a human on some level, it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 focus, which is there. And now I have my Intention Translator. I'm ready to make some friends. So right here, you have what the game calls common tests. I can always do these. So traverse is interact with the location card, trying to go somewhere else. Don't need that. Connect, I'm eventually going to want to start connecting with some of the beings of the environment, but I spent some spirit already. I would have to spend spirit in order to make further tests. We'll wait till next turn. Focus, that's what I'm looking for. Remember your training. Scout Ranger cards equal to your effort, then draw 1 Ranger card. Scout means this draw. So let's go ahead and do my first test, which will be a focus to get more cards. In order to do any test in the game whatsoever, you got to spend at least 1 of your energy. And in this particular case, I'll spend my 1 focus. I can also add depending on the symbols. So I'm going to want to play a lot of these cards, but some of the cards, especially your personality ones, are only good for symbols. So then I'm going to use these 2 symbols. So that gets me 3 possible effort. And now I check. 3 effort sounds like a lot, but there is this challenge deck, which will give me a little bit of randomness. All right, so let's go ahead and pull the challenge deck for that focus test. Ooh, +1, so I can draw 4 cards. All right, I will do that right now and then resolve this. So now I get to draw 4 cards, keep 1, and put the rest on the top or bottom of the deck. Let's see. Hey, look at that, all the way on the bottom. Oru the Sheepdog. I'm definitely going to draw this one. I'll show you what this does. Love Oru. All right, the rest of them, I have a moment that allows me to put on some extra clearing. I like the symbols, so I'll go ahead and put that on top. Energize Hiking Greaves is good for interacting with the location. Don't need that. Perception, I have better cards in there, so I'm going to go ahead and stick these 2 on the bottom. So now that I've done the challenge, it is time to trigger the environmental effects. This is as close to a quote-unquote enemy phase as you're going to get. There is no independent energy phase. It all depends on the effort that you put in, the test that you're completing. Okay, so I do every card, fire every effect that has a sun icon. In addition, this has a reshuffle icon. This is going to go ahead and get shuffled back in. Downpour says discard 1 rain from this card. If I do, each ranger suffers 1 fatigue. If there is no rain remaining, flip this card. So it is raining. I forgot to mention that. And I suffer another fatigue. Which, by the way, I should have put one of the poopier cards on top because I knew that was going to happen. But whatever, it's a demo playthrough. I'm sure I'll be fine. Next up is the Harvester Anthill. If there is 1 or more progress on this feature, the ground starts to sink. Discard 1 and add 1 harm to the feature. Harm would increase the presence. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that for now, and that is it. So here are my cards for the turn. I would love to get Oru the Sheepdog out, but I don't have the energy for it this turn. Obviously, this is going to get taken down more likely by the attacking, but I don't have a basic way to attack. That usually comes from like a weapon or an aggressive companion, or the artificer has some devices. I got none of that. So at this point, I am going to rest, which means I get my energy back. Everything that is tapped would untap. I don't have to worry about that right now. I draw an additional card, which is engaging. Ooh, I can try to woo some beings to my side next turn. First thing you do at the beginning of every new round is to pick from the path deck. Quiet. Oh, oh no. 3 presents is usually bad news. Oh, and there's also a flavor text, and I'll get to that in a second. Look at the size of this thing. It is massive. I have a feeling I'm not supposed to encounter this right now. Oh, well. And then ambushes. Ow! Suffer 1 fatigue. Oh, man, this is getting expensive. You stare at the bushes ahead for a few minutes. Something seems wrong. You can't spot anything dangerous. Then slowly, you make out the large, lean body covered in a white coat of fur. The paws, each as big as your hand, supporting shining black claws. One of the ears, shredded and covered in lumps of pink scar tissue. And finally, the shining red-yellow eyes staring back unblinking. You've heard stories about the bearded lynx they call Quiet, that she hunts bear sloths for sport, that she relentlessly stalks prey from one end of the valley to the other, that she attacked and killed the traveling artist Morris Keller, leaving only a sketchbook to bury at the Grove. Now seeing her for yourself, you believe them. Zoinks! However, in Crisis, there is opportunity, and this is really the heart of the game. I'm kind of glad this happened. All right, so if I look at Quiet, if I do a test and I get the sun effect, then if there's another active predator, Quiet defends her hunting ground, add 3 to that predator and 1 to this being, so they fight. A lot of times the predators fight each other, which is why I wasn't so worried about not having a weapon. A lot of times, like, okay, I lay back, let them take care of each other, and I pick up the scraps somehow. So if I were to do some tests and get the sun, then it would actually take out this Bloodbeck Velox before it runs away, and I would be progressed towards my lure goal. The lure goal says I need to have 5 or more total presence worth of prey and or predator in this module set aside. So then I have 2. So if I use quiet to take out the Velox and then soothe quiet, which I can totally do, then I would be progressed towards part 1 of my lure phase. Let's do it. First things first, I'm going to play Oru the sheepdog and spend 2 spirit to get her out. Her power is that if I exhaust her, which is tap, I move a being and add 2 progress to it. So let's go ahead and tap Oru the sheepdog. I do not know if the move is mandatory or it's optional. We're going to go with mandatory for now. If it's optional, hopefully the designer will let me know. So I move quiet. Doesn't matter because he attacks anywhere. It doesn't specify either along the way or within reach. So I move them out. And more importantly, I add 2 soothing progress. Here, boy. Not sure why quiet doesn't tear him apart, but we're going to take a word for it. This is a very, very handsome dog. So now I want to do what the game calls a connect test. I spend a spirit. I only got 1 left, willing to spend it. And I commit as many of these heart symbols as I have, if I want to. Connect the life around me, add more progress to a being equal to my effort. So I got the 1. I also have a commit engaging. I'll save calming presence for a different aspect. So I got 2 so far. All right, so I have +2 total. Let's see what I get out of the challenge deck. Oh, that's a -1, so only 1. I'll take it. And I trigger the sun effect, which is actually really great. Once again, you go from top to bottom. Downpour. More rain, more fatigue. You see, right? I already have 4 fatigue out of 30. That piles up really quickly, especially in the rain. Harvester inhale. I don't have to worry about it because I don't have any progress. Quiet. Beautiful. If there is another active predator, add 3 to it. There is another active predator. Mauled. Goodbye. So I've completed this. They don't have one. They don't trigger it. It goes to the lure pile as 2 presents. And also they have 1 right there. So if it does get mauled for 5, which is not going to happen, but that is a way to take it out. But for now, I'm focusing on calming it. All right, the essence of the game, know what you have, use it to its maximum. Okay, so Oru the sheepdog has an action. It is a fitness action plus whatever hearts I can commit. I pet it. I ready this being and soothe 1 fatigue. That's why I don't mind getting fatigue. Oru makes me feel good. I'm going to commit 2 of my fitness because I'm not going to do anything this turn or anything else this turn. I'll get it back. I just need to clear the +1 threshold so I can suffer anything from a -1 above. Hopefully this isn't a -2 that's going to hit me. It's a 0. That's great. So I untap Oru the sheepdog, but I do suffer the red effects. All right, so now we go from top to bottom. I thought I had calculated this, but no, it does not. If there are 2 active predators, exhaust them. I thought it was any active predators. There's not 2. I'm just looking there going, quiet's going, what are you doing here? Chomp. Return 1 set-aside prey to the collection. I don't have a set-aside prey. That is fine. Okay, so quiet goes, suffer 1 injury. Ow, I'm trying to be friends with you. Come on. Injuries are super bad. If I get 3 injuries, game over. I reshuffle and I end the day. Also, when I rest, each injury is going to cost me a fatigue. So I'm going to try to heal that as soon as possible. Fortunately, I do not have a way to heal it. I have one on my deck, but I would have to use that focus action, which would be another draw from the challenge deck, which might result in another injury. So better part of valor. Let's go ahead and just rest for the turn, eat my fatigue, and try again next turn. The other bad thing about injuries is that you have to discard your entire fatigue pile. No! I wanted to get those back. Oru is unique, so don't mind that, but there's some other cards in there that I wanted. I am now resting. I have an injury, which means I have to add another fatigue. I draw a card. I get, oh, there it is. That's great. Healing touch, heal 1 injury. I got it. Untap everything, get my energy back, and 1 more turn. All right, new round. I have a lot of tools to deal with this situation. Only 2 more progress on soothing the quiet. So I'm going to go the route of not triggering any tests. I do not need any more injuries. No, thank you. Okay, so first of all, let's do Oru the sheepdog. The sheepdog is actually going to nuzzle up against Pocono. tap it, and then move 2 progress, Soothing Progress on Pokedo. So they don't have the number, which means you can't clear it, but they can take it. They can take as many tokens as you want. And the reason I did it to Pokedo is I want Pokedo to discard 1 from the being, this being, to add 1 token to an aid card. I have an aid card, haven't used it yet, but it'll come in handy. And add 2 progress to another being. So my animal empire has gone forth, and I have quieted quiet. So as soon as that happens, I clear that. I put that in the set aside pile. I now have 5 presents to answer the lure. The lure is set. Let's spring the trap. So this is from the main game. If this was the main game, you would read 142 out of the book. In the side mission, you go to the online website and read from there instead. You hide behind a small stand of trees, waiting for the mulch to appear. Your bait sits untouched. You begin to think that you're headed in the wrong direction when suddenly, one of the trees next to you moves. The biomeld's enormous. What you thought was a tree is just one of his towering legs. With an alien grace, it strides towards the bait. I have a choice. I can either release the bait before the mulcher gets to them, or let the mulcher grab the bait. And so here it is, the caustic mulcher. She's huge, and she is playing with her food, the Blood Beckon Velox and Quiet. You know that this thing is huge when it captures a legendary creature and makes it look small and fiddly. All right, beings attached to this being do not ready, so they're basically count as exhausted, which means you don't trigger their effects. That's fine. If a focus token is on this biomeld, you saw the focus token down there, which means that it has my attention, and it kind of has me wrapped up. That's not a good thing, so I don't want to do that. I can rest some of these animals away from the caustic mulcher. I may want to do that just to kind of try to get some offense in this thing so it doesn't focus on me. We'll see what happens. But as it is, that is what I have to do to beat the mission. Oh, my apology. I totally forgot. I have a note about this. I was supposed to pull the path card before I calm the quiet. That card is a Hungry Scroff, another predator. I am surrounded by predators. I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, so here is my plan of action. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that there's always one being around, because the sun effect says if there's another active being, exhaust it and attach it to the biomelt. So it's going to kind of go for whatever's in the environment. If there is no active being, it gets me, which is what this focus token is for. And then if it triggers this effect, it'll start to injure me. So it's like, grabbing me and then crushing the life out of me. I already have 1 injury, only need 2 more, no good. The animals, if I release them, only beat predators. This specifically is not a predator. I wish I had a card that said, here, predator, go for it. That would be a way to solve the problem. And other classes have that. I don't, so I need to do the long slog of soothing the mulcher as best I can. And so I'm going to commit 3 spirit and a heart to this connect action with the mulcher, and also tap this card once and use my intention translator. Yes, even caustic mulchers have a language, and so I'm tuning into its whatever corpus cerebellum that's in there, figuring out what it wants, and doing my best to give it to him. +1, ho-ho! Red, oh, not so great. And so that is really good. That is 5 presents out of 9. I have a feeling that I'll be good to go next turn. I just have to survive and avoid injury. But I trigger a bunch of red effects. First of all, if there are 2 more active predators, there are not. Skip that. Caustic Mauler. Add 1 to each being attached to this biomeld. Ugh. And if I get sucked in there, I'll suffer 1 injury. That's no good. And the Hungry Scroff. If there is active food or you have food equipped, exhaust this being, suffer 1 injury. I do not have active food. Okay. So the anthill actually interacts with the Hungry Scroff, which is nice, kind of the organic interactions of this game, but on blue, not on red, so I ignore the anthill for now. I do have more possible tricks up my sleeve, but that all requires making extra tests, so I'm just going to go ahead and rest, get my energy back. I do have an injury, so I suffer 1 fatigue. I draw a card, Calming Presence. Ooh, That'll come in handy, or maybe not. I think I have the resources to get past this thing. But first of all, let's see what the path deck spits out at me and Antelope. It is prey. So predators and prey interact, but I don't need it right now. I don't think there's any danger to me because go forth, lads. Pocodo the Ferret had a progress token on him, discarding it, and I am could add 1 token to an A card and 2 progress to another being. And Oro the Sheepdog just goes straight for it. Move a being and add 2 to it. Come here, Caustic Muller. You're in the wrong place. You know you're not supposed to be in the valley. Please go back to the forest where you came from and see if you can find happiness over there. The Caustic Mulcher's tongue whips toward you, but you leap out of the way at the last moment. With precise timing, you grab onto one of the Mulcher's legs and scramble up on its back. Now, perched above its lashing tongue and snapping maw, you reach loose folds of skin at the base of its thorax. You grab hold and squeeze. And after a long moment, the Mulcher grows still and it lowers its body to the ground. You are right to trust your instincts. The Caustic Mulcher seems to respond favorably to firm pressure on whatever part of its anatomy lies underneath the fleshy mass currently clutching your arms. You begin a careful process of trial and error, massaging around the thorax until the Mulcher begins to emit a horrible gurgling sound. Emitted from any other being, you'd assume the sound indicated an upset stomach or some other ailment. But coming from the Mulcher, you're certain it's a sound akin to a joyous purring of a lutrino. Perhaps with enough time and patience, you may just be able to tame it. But for now, you feel like you could at least lead it away from the spire and into the heart of the forest. And so that is 1 day of Earthborne Rangers. I still have to go through half my deck. You've seen most of the cards because they're doubles. So there are 2 Healing Touches, Calming Presences, 2 Auras, as you saw. So most of what a Conciliator can do is there for you. Along the way in the basic game, there is a giant pile of rewards. So you can swap cards in, continue to build your deck, evolve your character. If I continue with my Conciliator, maybe I will think about it, get 1 weapon in there. Or continue to use the environment, use the predators against each other, and get things accomplished that way. There's so many things to do here. I'm actually in the middle of my own campaign right now in terms of the longer game. I just want to take a break, do the one shot, so I can get the filming up for you. Let me know what you think in the comments below of Earthborne Rangers. This is Jason with the One Stop Co-op Shop, mining that we'll see you at the next stop.